gain confidence from wanting to win. You gain confidence from putting in the work and knowing that you've done just that.
Straight ahead in the Red Zone, UNLV travels to Northwestern looking to make a statement. What went right, what went wrong, and how the Rebels build on the trip to Chicago. Head coach Tony Sanchez is in studio to break it all down. Plus, we profile one of the anchors of the defense, how Nick Dehdashtian has worked back from injury to cause havoc in the trenches. The Red Zone is turning on the accelerators.
You don't live for days, you live for moments.
We've got 30 minutes of moments right now.
This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
Welcome inside the Red Zone. Kevin Bollinger alongside UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez, just back from Chicago after a game that was, yes, a loss, but I think a lot of positives to pull out of this one.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those games where you sit down as a staff, watch the film, discuss it, and now a lot of positives to pull from it, some frustrating things to pull from it too. I mean, there's definitely some things we need to correct and teach. I think the defense is playing really good football. I mean, we gave up some big plays, but I'll tell you what, I'm so happy with the way the defense is playing, how hard they're playing. Coach Skip's really done a good job. They're really physical, great in the red zone. And offensively, we did some really good things early on in the game and moved the ball up and down the field, but critical turnovers and, you know, and inopportune times and a missed field goal really sealed our fate.
Well, let's go to the highlights right now. The Rebels put together a solid first 30 minutes.
You don't live for days, you live for moments. You understand that? Let's make these 60 minutes a hell of a damn moment for this program. Yes, sir.
1-0 on 3. 1, 2, 3. 1-0.
We got a good damn football team.
Yes, sir.
But it's now time to stand straight up, let all the damn fears go, and just go play ball. There's nothing across the field in that other locker room that they have that we don't. One day we're all going to be old men. One day we're going to be old, and we won't be able to do this no more. That day ain't today. That day ain't today for sure, man.
A perfect day for football just off Lake Michigan as UNLV went toe-to-toe with Northwestern. The Wildcats had the ball first, and on 3rd and 8 at their own 27, Hunter Johnson hit Bennett Skowronek for a first down, plus 15 more for roughing the passer. Later in the drive, 4th and 3 at the 30, Johnson finds Kierick McGowan for a first down at the 14. 2 plays later, Johnson keeps it himself for a 1-yard touchdown run, and Northwestern had a 7-0 lead. UNLV answered and answered quickly thanks to Charles Williams, who turns upfield and turns on the Jets. 65 yards pulling away from the defenders, and we were all tied up at 7. The Rebel defense hunkered down. Jericho Flowers with the sack, but Northwestern would get a 33-yard field goal from Charlie Kuhlbander, and they took a 10-7 lead. The offense went right back to work. Armani Rogers keeps it himself, but he rumbles down the left sideline 30 yards into Wildcat territory. On 4th and 1 at the 20, QB1 lowers his shoulder and gets the first. Next play, Rogers with a quick pass to Tyree Jackson, who fumbles the football in the red zone. A golden opportunity lost as Northwestern took over. The Wildcats were threatening to score again at the end of the quarter, but Javen White comes up big with the interception. That would get the Rebels the ball back. UNLV drove 80 yards in 10 plays, and once again, it was Williams doing the damage. 37 yards for another score, and UNLV had its first lead of the game at 14-10 with 10:56 left in the half. After Northwestern kicked a field goal to cut the Rebel lead to 1, UNLV's offense sputtered for the first time and they had to punt. On Northwestern's first play of that drive, Drew Techman is called for targeting and he's ejected. It was the Rebels' 3rd personal foul of the first half. That set up another 44-yard field goal, and Northwestern took a 16-14 lead into the locker room at halftime.
Great start, 2 touchdowns in the first 3 possessions. Charles Williams set the tone once again. He was spectacular.
He really was. I mean, Chuck's been great, every game this year, just done a tremendous job. It was really good to see Armani settle down and throw the ball well. Ended up being 16 of 25, but he looked really comfortable early on. And we used him more in the running game to kind of get the offense going, too, so that was really big and critical. That turnover was a killer, though. I mean, you sit there, you got 1st and 10 at the 19 going in, so you got at least a minimum of a field goal opportunity, and to turn that over, and then they flip it down and end up turning that into a field goal. That was critical. So, you got to overcome those things. But overall, I thought the first half was good. I thought we left some points out there, though.
Yeah, that red zone turnover really changes the complexion of the game. Even though it was early, I mean, you get up 2 scores or more against a team like that, you put them up against the ropes, it changes what they have to do.
No doubt about it. I mean, our defense did a really good job of playing red zone defense and holding them to a lot of field goals. I believe they made 3 on the day. So, again, those touchdowns are critical, going in, putting points on the board early on to kind of put them behind the 8 ball.
Your thoughts on the Drew Techman targeting call, because it came in the second quarter. You go down a defensive back, which is not an area that you have a ton of depth in overall. When you see that, what do you see?
I don't like it. I guess by the letter of the law, I see why they called. But, they changed the rule this year. And the thing that bothers me is he doesn't launch. He doesn't, throw his head in there. He literally changes his leverage by just dropping down. The guy's going down. He stays on his feet, never leaves his feet. I don't know. I thought it was a little hypersensitive there. I mean, I don't think there's any intent there to do helmet to helmet. I thought it was more of a what's it called, glancing blow.
So Armani last week, you talked about the fact that he looked uncomfortable. He looked much more comfortable this week. How would you assess his play in the first half?
I thought it was really good. I mean, again, he came out, early and threw some really good balls, moved us down the football field, used his feet to make some big plays, made some good decisions, up at the line of scrimmage in the run game. So I thought he looked comfortable, and I thought he played well early.
The response from last week, we talked about the mental makeup of the team is going to show after last week coming to this week. Did you get the answer that you expected, I'm sure, all along?
Yeah, again, last week was, a week ago today, that's a frustrating day because we're a better football team than that, and you only get so many opportunities. You get 12 opportunities to go play this game, on Saturdays, guaranteed. So I knew our guys would bounce back. They're a good group. They worked extremely hard. We're talented. We're a lot better than we were a week ago. I knew that. I knew we'd come out and play these guys hard.
Well, we broke it down the first half, but what happened in the second? We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with highlights, and we're going to have a conversation about the key moments. That's all next as the Red Zone rolls on.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by RC Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
Let's dive into the second half where a critical play early changed the complexion of the game.
UNLV had the ball to start the second half and quickly started moving the ball down the field. On 3rd and 4 at their own 47, Rogers rolls right, and he hoofs it for 5 yards in the first in Northwestern territory. Then Rogers hit Mekhi Stevenson for 12 more down to the 35. But on the next play, Rogers doesn't see the linebacker, and he throws it right to him for the interception. Northwestern had killed the drive. The Rebels defense held and forced a punt. Rogers then got out of trouble deep in their own territory. After a second down play, Williams limped off the field, so he wasn't there on 3rd and 1. Darren Williams comes in and he takes the ball from Rogers, but he goes nowhere. Northwestern had the ball with good field position, and on the second play of that series, Johnson goes deep downfield for J.J. Jefferson, who hauls it in for a 50-yard touchdown. The Wildcats open up the lead to 23-14 midway through the third. The teams traded possessions. UNLV had the ball at their own 37. Rogers is running, but he fumbles, and Northwestern recovers at the Rebel 40-yard line. First play of the fourth quarter, the Wildcats had a 4th and 4, and they went for it. Javen White with the big tackle. He prevents the chains from moving, and UNLV had the ball back. After both teams went 3 and out, the Rebels had the ball and they moved down the field. Daniel Gutierrez came in for a 38-yard field goal that would get UNLV within 1 score, but he missed it wide with just over 10 minutes to go. The offense would never get going again after that. Northwestern would add a late touchdown to open things back up. UNLV put up a solid effort in this one, but they turned the ball over 3 times. They go 0 for 2 in the red zone, 5 for 14 on 3rd down, and they get shut out in the second half. It all adds up to a 30-14 loss to Northwestern.
We came in and honestly, this Northwestern compared to Ohio State it's a big difference, honestly, especially playing in a big crowd. And by watching the tape, we were even, and especially with them being disciplined, we just had to come play. And I feel like we did a short period of time, but we didn't finish at all.
I feel like we responded well today, and once again, we beat ourselves a couple of times, and we went out there, we was competing the whole game. Nobody folded, especially after the game we had last week, and we just went out there and we fought.
Just go back to work, watch film, bury it, and then let's go back to work. We got to finish it off. This isn't the last game of the season. We have plenty of more games, and we still got to get to 13.
Well, you've had a chance to look at the tape now a little bit too.
Yeah.
What led to the offense sputtering so much in the second half?
Well, I think one of the big things was we came out with a great plan and we moved right down the football field and we got right into we had 1st and 10 at the 35 going in. We'd moved the ball really well, and then we made a critical mistake throwing that pick. We just you got to do a better job of reading the field and seeing that linebacker dropping into that hole. And then after that, just converting. You see, Darren goes in and he pulls. Armand is trying to pull it, and it's a new guy, in the system, and he just got to go ahead and trust the field right there, because Armand is trying to pull that and run, and that's critical on the 3rd and short. We give up. We gave up that 1 touchdown, on the fade route, and then they didn't score again until there was a minute and some odd seconds left in the game. So the defense did a really good job. We had to force them to punt a couple times, got the 4th down stop. That was really, really big. And I think the critical mistake was, that field goal. You're sitting there, a lot of time on the clock. I believe it was like 8.5 minutes, something like that. And we make that kick. It's a 6-point game. We got all the momentum, great opportunity, but it didn't happen, and you saw the results.
So there was a time early in the 4th quarter, a lot of time left. UNLV was down 9 at that time. 9 of 11 plays over 2 series were passes. Why get away from the bread and butter of running the football that had been so successful?
Well, they started loading the box up. They came on in, and you saw us running the ball. We were real explosive early in the game, but then those explosive plays started to disappear a little bit. They started to get a little bit harder to do. They started loading guys in. They're dropping safeties. They started blitzing a little bit more. So we had opportunities in the passing game. You just got to, convert it.
You mentioned the field goal. When you have that and you're going to be able to get it down to 1 score, I guess it's more of a mental thing too at the end. It's deflating to the sidelines when you have a chance to do that. It's kind of hard to get back up after something like that.
You know it is. You got to stay in the pocket. And again, I thought the defense did a good job. Both defenses on both sides did a really good job in this football game. It definitely was a defensive battle. But after that missed field goal, they went on like an 11-play drive that they ended up stalling out on. But what they did was they ended up taking like 7.5 minutes off the clock, which really killed us. We needed the ball back.
We know this team's going to score points, especially when you get into Mountain West play. The big question mark, I think, for a lot of fans was the defense. I think that they have stepped up in this game and kind of given that blueprint going forward. That's the big takeaway, I think, for the rest of the season, that this defense is capable of shutting down a lot of Mountain West teams and is going to keep you guys in a lot of games.
No, there's no doubt. Week 1, I thought they played really well. I thought they played really well the first half against Arkansas State, and they were left out there a little too long and wore down. This game, they sustained, all the way through and made some big critical plays towards the end of the game and were really, really physical. It was great to see. Javen White, he was incredible. He did a really good job. So offensively, we'll be fine. We got to find ourselves and, just continue to take advantage of our opportunities. Again, you talk about the turnovers, the red zone stuff. It just 1 or 2 of those things goes our way, it's a whole different ball game. So we got to take advantage of it.
Well, time for another break for us. When we come back, though, we're going to take a look at one of the anchors of that defense. We give you a look inside the mind of Nick Dehdashtian, who has fought his way back from injury to get in and change games for the Rebels. We're back in 2 minutes. Stick and stay.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
Sometimes players on the offensive and defensive line get overlooked by fans, but the Rebel faithful should really be paying attention to number 98. His name is Nick Dehdashtian, and he's exactly the type of player that you want on your team.
mayhem. That's what Nick Dehdashtian likes to create.
Disruptive as possible.
As one of the Rebels' top defensive linemen, Dehdashtian has to plug the run, but when a team drops back to pass, he's licking his chops. That's when he gets to create chaos. It's all part of the art of being a good pass rusher.
If you have 1 sack and no hurries, it's an okay game. But if you can have 5 to 10 hurries and no sacks, he's like, that's what you want. Because as long as you can get hurries and you can get that ball coming out at an off angle, off throw, and you can get turnovers, that's the biggest thing. So I think for me, it's just I want hurries. I want to get the ball turned over. I want to force pressure. I don't want the quarterback to be comfortable at all throwing the ball.
Good job, Dash. Way to work, Dash.
Last season, it was Dehdashtian who was uncomfortable. He went down with an injury in preseason camp and sat out the schedule. And it all but killed him, just sitting there watching.
There's nothing worse than having it taken away from you when, you're invested in it. That's all you want to do. That's all you're thinking about. And then you have no choice but to sit and watch, and it's just gone in an instant. And that's the hardest part. Not being out there with my teammates. You feel like not as close and not as part of the team as you were when you were, on the field competing.
Dehdashtian worked hard at rehab to make sure he was back at full strength this season, even working out with teammates in the sand, something this Southern California native was comfortable with.
It was just honestly a good little team bonding experience with Vic and Farrell, Colo. We just met up, and a couple nights a week we'd go to the apartments and just run on the sand. And I think it just helped with ankle strengthening for me. My biggest thing was my ankle was weak. So I feel like running in the sand and cutting laterally helped me build that strength that I needed to perform on the field.
Now healthy, everything is focused on the right now. This is his 5th year at UNLV. He's noticed the change. This is a program that has turned the corner.
The mindset now to when I first got here is just completely different. Everyone is just locked in, and it used to be the coaches having to get on the players to get that extra rep or that extra sprint. The players are on each other. Like if you're not doing your thing, like they're on you. They're on you, and they're making sure that you're getting right.
With him every step of the way is his dad, Derek, a fixture at every home and away game, whether Nick was playing or not.
That's my guy. Yeah, that guy. Like I said, when I was hurt my senior year, he didn't miss 1 game. Even when I was in surgery, he was there watching them. And then, like last year, he didn't miss a single game. Flew out, drove out, watched them, and that's the coolest thing. He loves not just watching me, but just the team. He's very close with a lot of my teammates, so he's out there supporting them, and obviously Coach Sanchez and Skip, all of them. So I think it's really cool.
Along the way, Derek Dehdashtian fell in love with Las Vegas and recently moved here to be ingrained in the community more. That's the way this family does things, all in. And that's the way Nick is approaching this season. He's not talking just getting bowl eligibility. The goal is all of them. He may be known as Dash, but the focus is endurance.
It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. We're here to play, and we're here to work, and it's a different mindset. That's the biggest thing to me personally, is the mindset change. And everyone is on the same page. Everyone wants it more than I've ever seen. Like I said, I've been here for 4 or 5 years now, and it's different.
You want hungry players.
Yeah.
He's hungry, and you need leaders as well. He's somebody who's helped your program. He's been here 5 years. He's only a junior. He's got another year of eligibility, too.
Well, the biggest thing he talked about is just the buy-in from everybody and how it's policed by the players now. They're the ones to hold people accountable. For years it was us, hey, we got to do this, got to do A, B, C, and D if we're going to get the program rolling. And, now it's player-driven, which is a big deal. And then, you listen to him and his passion and his desire to want to see this program move forward. And we see that every day at practice with him and all of his teammates. So that's why, right now, sitting there at 1 or 2, getting ready to go into the bye week and a Wyoming game coming up, there's no panic at all. We have a lot of football left to play, a ton of games out there, a lot of winnable football games, and we have a talented group. We'll get them collected, we'll get them rolling in the right direction and turn this into a great season. We're
going to take one final break. We're going to come back with some closing thoughts from Coach Sanchez and the UNLV football plays of the week. But as we go to break, here's a look at how other Mountain West teams did over the weekend.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
So the Rebels have their first of 2 bye weeks next weekend. How are you going to approach this bye week with your team? Because on the back end of that is going to be the opening of Mountain West play.
Yeah, the great thing is having 2 bye weeks this year. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of stay in our normal routine. We're just going to shorten the length of practice, but we're going to keep them going all the way through Friday. They got a lift and a run, and then we'll give them Saturday off. So they'll take 1 day off. Normally we give them the Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. We'll do that on the second bye week, and the coaches will hit the road Thursday after walkthrough. So after we do our walkthrough Thursday, we'll get on the road, go recruiting on Thursday, Friday, head back into town on Saturday, and go from there.
It's a good chance to get everybody healed up, and then when classes just starting a couple weeks ago, kind of get a lot of the academic stuff out of the way this week as well.
100%. Yeah, you want to make sure you stay on top of that. Well, guys have worked hard at that, so we got to keep that up.
So Wyoming is the conference opener. That'll be a week from Saturday. We'll break that one down next Sunday in the Red Zone. Thanks for joining us on this one. We leave you tonight with the UNLV football plays of the week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Good night.
The RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by RC Willey and Levitt Law Firm.